Hi, I'm Jack Berry, and today we're speaking with Mike DeVries about my new favorite golf course, Greywalls, in the Upper Peninsula at Marquette. Good to see you, Mike.
Good to see you too, Jack. Always a pleasure.
You are not a CAD, a computer-assisted designer. Tell us how you got into working in the dirt.
So I grew up working at Crystal Downs and on the grounds crew and in the pro shop, and was on equipment, throughout my young life, and ultimately that led into working with Tom Doak and getting on bulldozers and starting to shape things. And so we build things in the dirt. That's how you get the fine details out. It's also the fun part. So and doing that, integrating it into a landscape, into a site, is really critically important. So you can have really good drawings, but ultimately there are things on the CAD drawings, whether that's generated from GPS or something of the topo of the property, or the plan, the site plan that's done. But ultimately, you have to tie that into what's there, and that the topo maps don't always show what's there. And Greywalls is a good example of that.
Well, you were at Kingsley Club, which you won a lot of honors for, and the other clubs you did along down the west side of the state, the Mines and Diamond Springs and so forth. Then you go up to the Upper Peninsula to Greywalls. Was that a surprise?
Yeah, well, the site's a surprise for sure. Mark Gilmore, who's the pro there and the general manager, he was an old friend of mine. We worked at Crystal Downs when we were younger. He was the assistant pro, and I was the kid in the bag room. So, so we've known each other for a long time, and I'd never been up there until, just probably about 25 years ago, and I saw the golf course for the first time, and the old golf course, the original golf course, and it was in April, mid-April, and it was about 35 degrees, and there were 100 people walking the golf course with snow still on the ground in places. And I said, "What's this about, Mark?" And he said, "Winter's over here. They're ready to play." And there's an avid population up there. So I was kind of prepared for that, but they just love their golf, and it was an honor to be able to bring them another 18 holes in Greywalls.
Well, how did you do it? When you started walking there, what was it like to walk through all those great boulders? It's all granite.
Well, initially we start with a topo map that gives us an overall feel for the property, and you could see the high points in the property, like the sixth hole, which is really, really high up. You've got the big rock walls. You're on a cliff, and the first thing that everybody said to me is, "Have you been to the view?" Because if you go above 60, there's a little higher spot. You can see Lake Superior, and you can see all around. It's really an amazing place. We talked about putting a tee up there, but the climb to get up there was a little bit arduous. There's an artificial mat there, actually, that the superintendent Craig put, which is fun to hit off of. But that's just for giggles. But the hard thing is trying to, when you have a fully forested place, is trying to get a feel for the property. And so the distinctive things there, for instance, 18, where it goes down into the flat, the landing area. So, that was all full trees, big area. And but walking back up that, you start to sort of see things that are going on, and how could we, utilize this in a way. You couldn't go uphill. It's too severe uphill, but you're coming downhill makes for that really spectacular drive, and hopefully getting home in two on the finishing hole.
Well, I like the way you worked your way around all those granite outcroppings. How did that happen?
Well, out of necessity, we did a little bit of blasting, but not much. And those features are, they're truly unique and spectacular. Next to number 5, you've got a 60-foot granite wall and full pine trees onto it. And the interesting thing about that is that wall sort of faces southwest, and you'd think that would cause shade problems and things, but we actually have a very good opening for airflow and actually for morning sun. So the green there does really, really well, even though it's 10 feet from that granite wall, which is really spectacular and amazing to do. So there's certain limitations that you have, and you have to sort of figure out how to utilize those. And that was the fun part of the puzzle there.
Well, it seemed like, especially on that first nine where there is so much granite, that you were able to kind of get the greens maybe a little backdrop by the granite, or they're not necessarily in play, but they were there, so you see them, and it's part of the enjoyment of that golf course.
Certainly, and those are special spots. So whether that's 4, 5, even 3 has rock that's behind it, and the little waterfall that comes by 4T. So you've got things like that actually start to incorporate and become and make them unique features. So it's not just a hole through the woods. It's a hole through the woods with a big rock outcropping, and that serves either as a feature or a hazard or a backdrop. And it provides some continuity too. So you get some, it's spectacular, but it's spectacular in its own way. A different type of visual than, say, looking at big water, which you get up top when you get in the middle of the property and you get to look out at Lake Superior, or at the beginning on the first tee where you look all the way to pictured rocks, 55 miles. It's pretty amazing on a clear day.
Well, Craig Moore, your superintendent, and a Detroit area guy and a Michigan State graduate, throw that in.
I won't hold that against him.
He gave me a nice tour and told me where to hit, because you've got ups and downs, and I thought it was wonderful. And around the greens, you don't have heavy rough or anything. You can have like little kind of a pinch, a 7 iron or something like that to get it on the green,
right?
Move it around. It just seems like it's a lot of fun.
That's the name of the game, fun. So we've got a lot of space out there. There's some very severe areas because of the rock, but being able to incorporate some things in there where the golfer has an option, so he can play a bump and run, or he can use the putter, Texas wedge it up, he can flop it, he can do a number of different things with the ball. That makes it fun for a wide range. It's not only heavy rough all the time.
And then Craig said that that there's a Canadian Southern Shield or something like that when you go to the back nine, you got a lot of sand there.
We do. It's in the back 9, 11, 12, 13, 14. That's probably the best material on the site, and we actually mined a bunch of sand out of 11 to use for the greens and the tees and things like that. So we use all native sands on site, and that's
I know you mined. You got 8 bunkers.
Right. So yeah, it's that landscape was really crazy before we actually took the sand out. But we were fortunate in that, and that's an interesting thing even with all the rock. And on the front 9 in places, you can, there's holes of sand. So it's a really interesting topography and good material to work with, which is always a blessing, and leads for great turf. So like the 12th fairway is really hard and firm, and the ball runs, and even though it's a long par 4, you have an option to play different shots and stuff.
Well, 11 must be beautiful in the fall. Backdrop, all those trees, and an elevated tee. You have a number of elevated tees.
Yeah.
And then plays down to that green.
Yeah, it's spectacular in the fall. The colors are amazing up there in Marquette. You've got the backdrop of the Marquette range that's there also. So it's a spectacular. You have a different view there. You're not necessarily looking at the lake, but you have an option to enjoy northern Michigan's finest color.
Well, is that the most fun course you played that you've designed?
Well, I hope they're all fun.
Yeah,
I hope
right.
they're all fun. But yeah, no, it's a great. There's great people up there. They're so enthusiastic about golf, and that really creates a nice atmosphere, and the membership is very engaging, and it's every time I go up, it's a blast, and everybody always is telling me how much fun they're having and enjoying the golf course, which is a testament we did something right.